quality of Toon's playing. 4 years ago, I started making these videos out of frustration, because without speed chat, there was no way to explain to Toons how their play was counterproductive. So I started making them to illustrate for play, in the hopes that by illustrating it, I could relieve my own frustrations, while at the same time showing Toons how it should be done. I never expected them to become as popular as they have. Today, despite the popularity of my videos, and despite Speed Chat Plus, there seems to be even more Toons than ever playing poorly. Not only playing poorly, but thinking it is the proper way to play. You have Toons thinking that the actual purpose of buildings is to work your gags, and who get upset at you when you tell them different. You have little Toons who think that it is the duty of higher Toons to make up for their mistakes. Then when they become the higher Toons, still playing like noobs and fighting poorly, complain about how the little Toons who play exactly like they do don't know how to fight. 4 years ago, it was a rare thing to find a Toon without full laugh and gags at the factory or the VP. Now, more than half show up without. And when you tell them to go get laugh and gags, they say no and call you mean when you refuse to take them in. 4 years ago, you didn't have Toons trying to get in the DA's office because they need a couple of legal eagles. Or insisting that a Toon task that requires them to defeat X number of cash bots meant that they had to go through the mint. 4 years ago, you didn't have Toons trying to solo the VP, making video after video of themselves, using up Toon-Up Unites and restock alls, then claiming that they aren't being selfish. 4 years ago, the phrase, "don't use sound on Lord Cogs," was actually rarely needed. Today, it is usually ignored. 4 years ago, you didn't have Toons hanging around Toontown Central and Toon Valley, picking up dates, running game shows that accomplish nothing, glitching, etc., etc., etc. Toons actually played the game. 4 years of work for nothing. Why bother? 2. Fans and trolls. Yes, unfortunately, I have to include fans. The last time I held a marathon, which was a field office marathon, I specifically instructed that Toons that could not get on the elevator with me should spread out in groups of 4 and take on other field offices. I had hoped we could clear off the street of field offices in short order that way, then go on to another street or district. But when my first team emerges from the field office, do I find everyone out taking on other field offices? No! I find them all crowded around the building I just got done doing, waiting for me, and complaining that they never get to go in a building with me. I'm being followed by a bunch of Toons who think that doing a building with me makes them special. I did 6 field offices in 2 hours, and after 2 hours, do you know how many field offices got done on the entire street? 6. Only the 6 I did. The street was still dominated by field offices. Nobody followed directions. They would rather fight over going into a building with me than to follow my directions on my marathon. That's why I stopped doing marathons. They were accomplishing nothing. Now what about trolls? Have you any idea how frustrating it is to get 2 messages in the same day, one taking me to task for not putting out another video, and the very next one taking me to task for playing a kid's game nonstop? Have you any idea how frustrating it is to get a message pointing out a mistake in a 3-year-old video that has been pointed out 1,800 times already? Especially when the last person to point it out still had his comment on the top of the page, meaning that as soon as the Toon noticed the mistake himself, he assumed that he was the very first to notice it and zoomed down to comment on it, passing by the 3 other comments pointing out the exact same thing that was already pointed out in annotations to the video itself. Have you any idea how frustrating it is to make a video on how to do something, get asked on a different video how to do it, point them to the video showing them how, then be taken to task by some nitwit who thinks I should have answered in the comments when I have already answered in far more detail in a video? Have you any idea how frustrating it is to have to deal with childish and rude behavior in the game? Then when I point out the childish and rude behavior, I get taken to task for making them cry, like they had a right to be childish and rude. Have you any idea how frustrating it is to be told by some adult that I made a 5-year-old cry, and that 5-year-old should not even be on the computer at all? I mean, get real. A 5-year-old isn't even in the 1st grade, can barely count or read, let alone properly operate a computer. And these same adults are putting these kids on the computer unsupervised. And somehow, it is my fault I made them cry. Have you any idea how frustrating it is to be taken to task by a clueless adult? Have you any idea how frustrating it is to be accused of things I never did? To be told that they are going to hack my account? Have you any idea how many YouTube channels I've had to report to YouTube for harassment? Any idea? I don't mind Toons taking their task on their own blogs. That's fine. They're allowed to have their own opinions of me, as long as they don't slander me. But 9 times out of 10, these nitwits have nothing Toontown related on their own channels. No, they come to mine and disrupt me. Then, of course, there are the Toons who simply will not let me have my own opinion on my own blog. How dare I tell Toons not to train in buildings? How dare I call Solo the VP selfish? How dare I come down hard on Toons who don't know how to train trap without lore? How dare I treat Toons the same way I'm being treated by them? How dare I? And you realize that Dragon, the Toon who made a copy of Dipper, then invited him into the factory only to green him, is still allowed to play Toontown and is making videos instructing other Toons how to play like he does, teaching them how to push Toons in harm's way, teaching them how to make Toons go sad in the VP, and bragging about it? Enough of this abuse. 3. And this is the biggie. Disney itself. There was a time when playing longer fun. It is tedious. Disney is spending all its time trying to attract new players while old ones are leaving because they have nothing new to do. They've done it all, and Disney is doing nothing to retain them. The last real challenge for High Toons was the Boss Bot headquarters. That was put in over 2 years ago. Field offices? You've done one, you've done them all. Big deal. And that was a year ago. How many streets are dominated by them because people are tired of them? The SOS cards you get for defeating them are pure crap. There are no toon paths that require you to defeat them, and you don't get much in the way of gag multipliers in the penthouse. They are useless. Accessories? Big whoop. But worst of all is Disney's coddling of new players, letting them wander about wherever they want. So now you have red monkeys sneaking their way through the factory all the time. I'm seeing 15 laugh Toons with level 2 gags trying to fight the VP. Disney put the law about headquarters in the Berg, then made a shortcut to get there. So small Toons made it impossible for higher Toons to find a good team for the DA's office. They put the Boss Bot headquarters off on the stop. All a Toon has to do is go down 2 easy streets and cross 3 playgrounds, making it hard for high Toons that need the front 3. Remember, you need to defeat a bunch of version 2.0 bots to get your Boss Bots in, and that is the only place you can get them. In other words, Disney defeated the very purpose the factory, the Mint, the DA's office, and the Cog and Culture Club were created for. That being a place where Toons could get the merit, cog bucks, jury notices, and stock options necessary to take on the bosses of each type of cog. They made it entirely too easy for Toons who had no legitimate purpose for being there to disrupt them. They made it easier and easier and easier for Toons who knew nothing about good fighting to disrupt the play of those that did, and to stand in their way of accomplishing something. The Cellbot headquarters was imaginative, but it was less so since you could no longer make choices in direction. The DA's office and the Cog Golf Club were simply the Mint, simplified and redecorated, and nothing more. It's almost like they hired a company outside of Disney to design the game, then took it over themselves, thought they could do improvements just as well, and frankly blew it big time. And when the high Toons get so frustrated with the little Toons who get into things that they have no business attempting, that they start trying to eliminate them from play, the high Toons are the ones getting punished. Except jerks like Dragon, who are still allowed to play. I have documented his harassment to Disney over and over again. He makes videos of his harassment, and Disney does nothing. Absolutely nothing. They have put in animated street objects and actually made street fighting harder, because they delay the start of the battle long enough for another cog to join the fight. Disney has ruined what used to be a great game, and it's almost like they don't care. They've put in things that either make no difference or actually make the game worse, and they ignore the real problems. Several times I emailed them with bugs that they have attempted to claim were not bugs, until I rubbed their noses in the fact that what I was seeing was supposed to be impossible, yet was happening. Just one example. For a while, Toons could accumulate floors that would never go away. To the factory district's territory was dominated by Toons with twirling gold stars and an absurd number of floors defeated. Disney tried to tell me a dedicated team of Toons could do that. That was until I pointed out to them that I knew how many buildings there actually were in a district, and that if every building had gotten made into a 5-story cog building, an even less likely scenario, and this dedicated team managed to take them all down, an even less likely scenario, and not a single one of them was re-invaded, an even less likely scenario, that after clearing out the entire district, every single building, they would not have the number of floors I'm seeing every single Toon on the Toon platoon having. And even then, it would only be 4 of them. Not the 10 I'm looking at. The rest would have nothing. Zip. Zero. Nada. Because there would be nothing for them to get.